Hello folks, this is Norm the teacher here, and it's time to do another video and teach you something else. Got that urge. So today's video, I'm going to do an entire video just on one part of the rear suspension of a 1991 Mazda 626 2.2 liter engine. And the reason I'm going to do a video on just this one part is because it requires a fair explanation of some things. And it's this part right here. I'm filming with two cameras, so I have to move my camera around to for both of them to get the view. Okay, this is one of the arms that is that makes up the rear suspension of the 91 Mazda. And here's where it came from. You know, here's the rear of the car. And you can see I have everything taken apart. You know, I have my knuckle down here, and I got the stabilizer bar there, and I got the shaft that goes through the rear part of the vehicle. Brake line disconnected and all that. So anyway, here's one of the control arms, but this is towards the front of the vehicle. Okay? That's not adjustable. But this one, which goes towards the rear of the vehicle, which it would be, you know, here's your front of the vehicle, right back here. Yeah, right in that area right there. Here's the front one, and here's the rear one. Okay, and both of them, they pivot on this bolt here. And the adjustable one pivots right here. Here's your knuckle that I have out. Anyway, and that's it right here. Now, where you adjust it, first of all, why do you adjust it? What's the adjustment for? The 91 Mazda is kind of an odd vehicle. You can adjust the alignment of the rear wheels. You know, usually when you hear about alignment, you hear, I need a front end alignment. Well, in a 91 Mazda, you can say, I need a rear end alignment. You can adjust your rear, and it's this threaded mechanism here that does it. You know, you got one pivot point here, and you got one pivot point here, and right here. And it's here's some of the tools you're going to need to loosen these. Okay, and I'm going to do a shot here. Okay, do a screen freeze of that and read it. And my other camera needs to see that also. Okay, you're going to need, I'll go through them here. You're going to need wrenches needed to loosen threaded components. A 13 millimeter open end to loosen the center post. This is what I call the center post right here. And you need 13 millimeter to fit those flats. 13 millimeter open end. You're going to need a 19 millimeter open end to grab the arm flats. Okay, what I mean by the arm flats is these. Right here and right here. Other camera. And right here. Okay, you'll need a 19 millimeter for those, which is this wrench. You'll need a 21 millimeter open end to loosen the nuts. These are the nuts here, the adjusting nuts. And I have one of them loose here to show you. Okay? Now, before you take it apart, if your alignment is correct or you're satisfied with the alignment on this arm, in other words, your tire has been wearing normally and you don't feel you need an adjustment, mark this before you take it apart. Mark this before you take it apart. I'm repeating here from my other camera. Now, what I did is I made a hash mark. I was satisfied with the alignment, so I wanted to get it back just the way it was. I made a slit mark in the middle of the post, and then with a micrometer, I measured from the slit mark to the back end of the nut, the washer part of the nut, right here. And I measured it on both sides, and then I made a diagram that showed that. It was 1.404 thousandths from the center mark to the back of the washer on the double notch side. And I marked one here, double notches. You can barely see them, but there's two notches there. I made that with the same tool that I made this slit here. And it was 1.390 inches from this center mark to the back of this washer. So you have two washers. You have from here to here you want to measure, and from here to here. That way when you put it back together, make sure it's exactly like that, and your alignment will be just the way it was before. Okay, now, fully expect this to be completely seized up with rust. I have everything going easily here. I can turn things easy, but that's because I went through a whole lot of trouble to do that. I tried all the WD-40 in the world, and that didn't really do much of any good. And so what I ended up having to do is in my blast furnace, I had to get this area red hot. And by getting that red hot, I was able to break the rust free. You know, when you get it red hot, that breaks the bond of rust quite a bit. It also, when you heat it up above 400 degrees or higher, any Loctite that is in there crystallizes and will break loose easily. I learned that from a Loctite representative at a trade show that I went to once. And so here's the diagram I made for the distance between the hash mark and the nuts. So you can do a freeze frame of that and study it also. Now these figures that I have here may be different on your vehicle. Depends on where you put this hash mark. I tried to put it right about in the center. Okay, now the taps and dies. The taps and dies that you will need to clean the threads. After you have loosened all this by getting it red hot, there's still going to be damaged threads, and there's going to still be rust in there that makes it hard to put the nuts back on and move everything. You're going to need to chase the threads with a tap and die set, like this. I bought this at Harbor Freight in Lincoln, Nebraska, and it cost me $89. I think it's well worth the money. When you buy it, open the package. There's one mistake they made. These are all metric. See the metric designation there in blue? It says metric. On the picture, the embossed designations are metric. And on mine, they're all metric taps and dies, but look at the designation. Here it says 7, here, get it one that says better lighting. 3/4 inch, that doesn't show up very well either. Maybe another angle here. This one says 3/4 inch NF, which means National Fine, 16. Okay, that's SAE designation. That's not metric. So somebody at the factory took the dies and put them in the wrong container. They all fit, but they put them in the wrong container. And to give you a size, a perspective here, according to my hand, you can see that these are pretty good sized adapters for using the dies and the taps. And you get this one here, and you get an adapter for the smaller dies. You put this adapter into the bigger one, and you can use smaller dies in the bigger tap driver. Okay, so yeah, Harbor Freight, basically $90 for this. That's well worth the money. They have both an SAE set and they have a metric set. I got the metric, but it has SAE designations on the embossed. So what I'm going to do, like I did with this one, I use this one, and I with a magic marker, I'm going to mark them all the way they're supposed to be marked. Here's the die I used. Here's the tap I used to clean up the threads on this. Now, another thing, I mentioned that on your threads, it says taps and dies needed. An M14, that means 14 millimeter, 1.5 pitch. Pitch is the distance from the peak of one thread to another. So it's 1.5 millimeter pitch from one peak to the other. Right hand. Right hand is the type of die, or is what's normal for fasteners. You loosen by turning counterclockwise. You tighten by going clockwise. Okay, 95% of the fasteners in the entire universe are that way. But there's the oddballs. There's the left-hand ones. And the left-hand ones is just the opposite. You tighten something by going counterclockwise, and you loosen it by going clockwise. Now, I say oddball, but there are some very valid reasons for having left-handed threads. And that's a whole nother video to explain why that is. But you're going to need both, because this here, they're right-handed threads on this side, and they're left-handed threads on this side. The nut and the post threads are left-handed here. The nut and the threads are right-handed on this. And then, you know, that post goes into a threaded area here. That's a threaded area there. And this is a threaded area. So anyway, that's how you adjust this thing for alignment. If you have to adjust your alignment. And again, I fully expect this is going to be a bearcat to deal with in terms of rust. I've got this all cleaned up. I spent a full day cleaning this up, just this one part. When you're retired, you have time to do stuff like that. Okay, so I think that's all I need right now for this. I'm going to do another video showing me putting all this back together. The entire rear suspension system all back together. But that's another whole video there. So for right now, get my pretty face here in the light so you can see me. Do I look pretty? Okay, well, so what? I don't. So anyway, this is Norm the Teacher. I'm going to salute you. I'm going to sign off, and I'll see you on the next video.